Good afternoon and welcome to Town Meeting Preview. I'm your Town Moderator, Tim Goddard. I'm joined by Town Administrator Jim Duggan, and we're here to review the warrant articles for the October 28th Special Town Meeting. It's a Tuesday, October 28th, and it's at 7 p.m. in the Charles K. Gymnasium at the middle school. And we're going to preview the articles that are on the warrant, and we'll have some special guests to explain the articles in more depth. I think everyone should have be getting in the mail rather this week the town meeting preview booklet that contains the motions and some analysis from the Finance Committee and the Select Board on the articles, the likely motions, and so forth. And please review that if you can at home, and we'll have copies available at town meeting, but it's hoped that you can bring that with you to the meeting. And this special town meeting, the main event, if you will, is the Shaker Lane School, and we're expecting quite a crowd of people, and we may have people in an overflow room for this, the cafeteria. And the gymnasium holds about 800 and overflow to the cafeteria. And I believe that there's also going to be some childcare provisions. And maybe I'll turn to Jim on this. You're closer to the details than I am. But
yeah, there will be the overflow room, like you had mentioned. The cafeteria will be child friendly. And if that's the parents want to attend town meeting and be in the cafeteria, there will be technology in that cafeteria that you can see and hear what's going on. If you have a question or a comment about anything, and you can do that from that location. We're also going to have the ability and proper staffing available if you care to drop your child off and then go down to the gymnasium. Anywhere from 3 to 5 year olds all the way up to preteens, that there will be staff there to help out and for activities and do different things. So it should be a nice family atmosphere for anyone who in the past hasn't been able to get there because of childcare difficulties. But this way, and we're going to offer that going forward. That's what I think that's the intent of the Select Board, recognizing this. So it's everything will be in place.
very good. Thank you, Jim.
Yes.
And as we have for the past few town meetings, we'll be using the electronic voting system, whereby everyone will register with the town clerk staff at the door and be issued a handheld device that they will use for voting throughout the meeting. This has proved to be very efficient and very popular, and I think we'll see the advantage of this system with the vote on Shaker Lane that night. You'll recall a ballot and checklist vote can sometimes take an hour or more, and with the electronic system we can have a result within 30 seconds. So I think that's already kind of paid for itself in a sense in the past, and we'll see if that's the case here. So everyone will be voting electronically. It's my intention to go right to Article 1, as you might suspect. Sometimes we go through a procedure called the consent calendar, and we call the articles by number and take a vote on some that are deemed to be non-controversial. I'm going to hold that procedure for later in the meeting. I know that a lot of people are coming to this meeting solely for the purpose of hearing the debate on Shaker Lane, and there are strong feelings both ways, and a lot of younger parents are parents of younger children, well, they may be younger parents too, making the effort to come to this meeting. So we want to be respectful of their time and get right into the question. There will be a presentation, I think, on Article 1 by a member of the Building Committee. Maybe, Jim, you could tee that up for us.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. This, as Tim had explained, it's probably going to be the most discussed article at the town meeting. And And it's, there's a request, what's going to be before the voters is for a debt exclusion to the Proposition 2.5. And that in the amount of $99,704,151. Requires a 2/3 vote. But to better explain it in better detail, I'd like to turn it over to Stephen Nudi, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee.
Thanks, Jim. I've been asked to discuss a little bit about Article 1 at the upcoming special town meeting on October 28th. Article 1 is, of course, the construction of a new Shaker Lane school. And due to the size of the project, the Finance Committee recommended and the Board of Selectmen voted to make this project funded through a debt exclusion override. And the debt exclusion override is a two-part process. First part is, of course, the town meeting article, which authorizes the debt service. And the second is a ballot vote that will be held on Saturday, November 1st. Polls open at 8 in the morning and close at 8 at night. And it's being held at the usual polling location at the middle school gymnasium. That's a simple majority vote that's needed there. So what is a debt exclusion override? Debt exclusion allows the town to raise funds over and above the limits of Proposition 2.5. Proposition 2.5 limits the town's ability to raise taxes more than 2.5%. But for a special project that the town votes to allow, that project and the debt service associated with that project can be separate from the normal tax base that we have. So we would have an additional tax over and above our normal taxes for that debt service. Once that debt service expires, the debt exclusion override goes away. So let's talk a little bit about the project itself. The project was approved by the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA, back at the end of August. And it was approved for a total project cost of $99,704,151. And that's the amount that we'll see on Article 1 of the town meeting vote. The MSBA, in approving that, has authorized the town to receive a grant in the amount of about $38.2 million. Now, as we'll probably hear a lot, especially at town meeting, if we want to receive $38 million for the state to fund this project, then we need to play by the state's rules. And part of the state's rules is included in that $99.7 million that I just mentioned. That amount includes $1 million of the feasibility study that the town has already approved a couple of years ago at town meeting. The feasibility study piece of the project has been done, it's been funded, and it's been funded through a cash that we had in the capital stabilization account, so it didn't affect anyone's taxes. But because we have to play by the MSBA's rules, that amount has to be included in the warrant article. So the actual total amount of the project itself is just over $98 million. That $98 million that we have will be offset again by the $38 million we're receiving from the state. And it will also be offset by some of the funds that the town has or should be able to set aside for it. We're looking right now at estimated $7 million that the town will be able to put in to the construction costs to lower the amount that we're going to be borrowing of about $7 million. And also about $2 million in bond premium that we'll be receiving when we issue this bond. So that $9 million, coupled with the $38 million from the state, brings down the total bond that we're looking to issue down to $50,725,000. And that's important because the lower that bond amount, the lower the interest costs, the lower the interest costs, the lower the payments, and the lower the payments, the less impact on the taxpayer. So that's the goal in funding this article. So the estimates that we have for this debt service, since it is going to increase the town's taxes, is based on FY25 property values. Those property values have the average single-family home at $694,000. The Finance Committee and the Select Board and the School Committee have set aside a policy, have developed a policy, basically, that was approved back in April. It's a financial plan to help fund this project once this debt is issued. And we're looking to put about $500,000 per year, according to our estimates, aside from inside levy funds to help pay this outside levy expense that we're going to have, which reduces the impact to the taxpayer. Doing that, it brings down that first year, worst year impact for this project down to $719 estimated tax impact, first year, worst year. And what do I mean by first year, worst year? The way we issue debt in town is that we make principal payments each year, and as those principal payments are made, it brings down the amount of interest that we have to pay. And again, bringing down that interest amount lowers the impact to the taxpayer. So with that $500,000 that we're able to set aside in that debt exclusion stabilization account each year, our impact in that first year of $719 goes down over time and ends up in year 20, because this is a 20-year debt, down around $500 per year. And at that initial amount of $719, we're talking about $60 per month. And at the end of it, that $490, we're talking about $40 per month. It is a big expense, and it's probably the biggest expense that the town has had to this point. But the alternatives are a little different. If both pieces passes at town meeting and the authorization, we're looking at constructing this building at those numbers that I just mentioned. Construction will last probably until the end of 2029, and we'd be issuing the debt for FY30. So this impact that I'm talking about would be realized on the average home of $694,000 out in FY30. Along the way, because we have to fund during construction, there'll be some costs that the taxpayer would have to bear. It's very hard to estimate those costs because of the timing of the billing that's coming in during construction and the amount of funds that we're receiving through the MSBA. But we're estimating somewhere, worst case, around $400 on those funds. So what happens if we don't approve this project? Shaker Lane building is an old building, and the systems within that building, we've been lucky that they haven't failed to a big degree. We've been able to do little patchworks, but we haven't put a lot of money into that building because of its age. One of the things with building code is that if renovations to that building go over $2.73 million, which is a percentage of the value of the building, then we would have to do a full code upgrade to that building. So if this project doesn't pass, there's still going to be some expenses that we have. The MSBA and the school department have both come out and said that this current building that we have does not meet the educational needs of the students. And the MSBA, in saying that, said they would not help fund any type of code upgrade to that building because the building simply was not worth renovating. And I have to say that a code upgrade is not a renovation. It doesn't solve any of the issues that are in the building, the crampedness in the building and the systems. So once we have to go through a full code upgrade, those costs were estimated at over $44 million. Because the students can't stay in Shaker Lane during that construction time, we would have to move the students off-site, and we'd have to do that through modular classrooms. And the school department has estimated about 22 modular classrooms would be needed to house 400 students. And then they would have to make a determination, should those students be moved to Russell Street and keep the Shaker Lane kids in those modulars, or incorporate those Shaker Lane kids into the Russell Street building and start shifting some grades, moving some Russell Street students into the middle school, and so on, middle school into the high school, and putting the modulars up in the high school. In that case, we're impacting more than just 400 students at Shaker Lane. We're impacting 1,700 students over the school district. At a $44 million price tag for the code upgrade and the 22 modular classrooms, with a couple of offsets from the town's funds that we have saved already, we're looking at issuing a bond of about $51 million. And that $51 million will be issued over 10 years. And why 10 years? As I mentioned, a code upgrade is not a renovation. It doesn't solve the issues of the educational plan at Shaker Lane School. So because we would still have to go on and resubmit into the MSBA, we would only issue debt for 10 years because we wouldn't really want it to overlap with another school building. The time frame that we've had with the MSBA, we applied back in 2017 for this current iteration. We got rejected the first time, reapplied in 2020, and got accepted in 2022. So you see, we're already well into this process. And with the school projected to be built around 2030, it's really a 10-year time frame that we're looking at. And if the articles don't pass at either the town meeting or the ballot vote, and we need to reapply to the MSBA, we're looking at starting all over with another 10-year time frame. In that 10-year time frame, construction costs increase. And that $98 million that are going to take to build that school today, in 10 years at a 5% construction increase each year, turns into $161 million. And that's a big price tag. So the $51 million we have for 10 years, as opposed to the $50.7 million for 20 years, is basically double the payment that the taxpayer would be able to look at. As I mentioned, new construction is around $719 first year, worst year, whereas the code upgrade with the modular classrooms would be $1,494 on that average home, first year, worst year, a difference of $775. And I'd be remiss in not mentioning that the MSBA would not contribute to a code upgrade to this building, again, because it doesn't solve the educational needs of the school. That's a potentially a big tax increase no matter which way we go. It's a little less, of course, if we go to the route to build this new school, but it's still a big ask for the taxpayers. The town offers several programs. There's 9 separate programs that the town offers for people who qualify, who have trouble with paying their taxes. And we should encourage you to contact the Assessors Department or the Elder and Human Services Department. In learning more about this project, because I ran through this pretty quickly, the town's website, if you go to boards and committees, look for the Shaker Lane School Building Committee. There's several tabs there that walk through the project itself, has a little FAQ and a tax calculator so you can see the actual impact to your home from the latest tax bill. There's also 2 more sessions that we have scheduled by the Shaker Lane School Building Committee. First is Saturday, October 18th at 4 o'clock. We'll have a community forum where the public can come and ask questions. And the second is on Tuesday, October 21st at 6 o'clock at Shaker Lane. It starts with a tour of the current building, and then a question and answer period follows that. And of course, there's town meeting on Tuesday, October 28th at 7 o'clock. It's the first article, so it Should be very quickly after 7 o'clock. We anticipate a large crowd, so we encourage you to please come early. And of course, the second piece of the two-part process is the November 1st ballot vote at the middle school. Polls open at 8 and close at 8 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We'll now move to Article 2, which is to amend a previous vote that was taken for the Shaker Lane School project, and I think that is just expanding the purpose of that earlier vote, Jim?
Yeah, exactly, Tim. That's it. It's expanding it from the vote back in 2022 to include design and construction as we go forward, because there are funds that have been reimbursed on the first allotment of $1 million for design for the schematic feasibility study, and which was done. So we got a reimbursement. We want to be able to use that reimbursement to put towards the project.
Okay, very good. Now then we come to bills of prior years, normally a very routine article, and I do anticipate putting that in the consent agenda that'll come up later in the evening. However, I do note that in this article we've got 11 bills from a single vendor from 2 fiscal years ago, so some people may have questions regarding that, but maybe you can explain that here, Jim, and we can avoid those questions.
Yeah, sure. It's there through the fire department with it's all medical supplies for the ambulance. And sometimes, and this is not an unusual occurrence to happen with medical supply distributors, that they don't submit a bill until the following fiscal year, especially if it's services that are rendered late in an existing fiscal year. Let's say if it's May or June, but we don't get a bill from that company until maybe July, August, September. And that's when it's considered, you can't pay in a previous fiscal year. So it has to be, sometimes it's called a bad bill, and we have to get town meeting approval to make sure that we pay the bill.
Very good. Moving right along, Article 4 is to fund a collective bargaining agreement. Jim, can you elaborate on this?
Sure. And this was from the police union contract. The negotiations took longer than we thought. And last year, I don't know if the viewers remember that we started a salary stabilization fund with a deposit of $250,000. That was in FY25. And we are going to basically utilize some of that money to pay the union contracts. So even though the contract was settled earlier this year, we still need town meeting approval to be able to pay anything in a retroactive manner.
Okay, very good. Now we'll go to Article 5, which is to authorize a transfer from trust funds. Very likely this would be a consent agenda article because it's not very controversial. But what's the purpose of this, Jim?
This is, I believe it's $30,000 to purchase nooks and a nook pod. A nook pod is really an isolated area to help the necessary students that need more of a quiet, concentrated environment. It allows them to be able to not get distracted or anything like that. And this is it's money well worth spending to help our students and our children.
Very good. And then our next article is accepting the alternative procedure for abandoned funds. This is a section of the general laws that allows the town to use this alternative procedure. Again, not very controversial. Jim, anything to add there?
No, it allows any abandoned funds that the town receives, it allows us to keep it in-house instead of having to transfer it over to the state and let the state keep it in an account there and maintain that. So we're able to maintain it here.
Okay. Article 7, we have a amendment to the hawker and peddler bylaw in the general bylaws, and it's a rather comprehensive amendment to what was in there. And Jim, would you like to introduce this?
I would. Thank you, Tim. It's really something because of the increase with solicitation, door-to-door solicitation. If you are able to have a no soliciting or no knock sign someplace on your door, whether it's taped on the inside of a glass door or anything on the storm door or something like that, this is something that will prohibit anyone from disturbing you. But we, really to explain it more in depth is our police chief, Chief Matt Pennard. So I'd like to turn it over to Chief Pennard.
Thanks, Jim. Today I'm here to talk to you about Article 7, which is the bylaw amendment to change hawker peddler. To see if the town will vote to amend the Littleton General Bylaws, Chapter 109, Hawking, Peddling, and Soliciting, by deleting Chapter 109 in its entirety and replacing it with the following, or to take any other action related thereto. The purpose of this, under Chapter 109, Transient Merchants, is to protect residents' privacy and safety by prohibiting or restricting door-to-door solicitation at homes that display a no soliciting or no knock sign, while still allowing legitimate, charitable, religious, or political activity consistent with the law. Now, with that being said, what does it mean? We are going to set up a no knock, no solicitation email site, website, sign up in the town clerk's office, so that if these organizations do come to your door and they do knock and they do bother you, or they do come to your residence and you have the sticker on your mailbox or household, it actually gives the authority of the police department to do something about it. So, pretty simple. It's replacing it in its entirety, and I thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. Moving ahead to Article 8, a proposed transfer from the stabilization fund regarding the property at 36 King Street. Jim, can you explain what's afoot here?
Yeah, sure thing, Tim. As we were nearing the end of the rehabilitation of 36 King Street, the old music hall, an unfortunate pipe had burst over a weekend. And by the time it was discovered that the pipe had burst, and we're talking in the fire emissions system, and by the time that was discovered, there was a tremendous amount of damage. So what we are doing, portions of it were covered by our property insurance, but it's going to require a transfer from our stabilization fund in order to be able to pay the necessary contract, to pay the contractor that has already completed the work.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Sure.
Article 9 is a proposed bylaw amendment regarding the posting of the warrant. I know that we're dramatically reducing the number of places that the warrant gets posted, acknowledging that this is probably not the way most people find out about a town meeting anyway,
right,
in this day and age. But do you want to add to that, Jim? Or?
Sure. It's to your point, right on, Tim. It is dramatically reduced. It's going to be reduced from 8 places to 3, but a more succinct description of what is before us at town meeting. I'd like to turn it over to our town clerk, Diane Quarry.
Thanks, Jim. Article 9, bylaw amendment regarding posting of the warrant. Article 9 simply changes the posting of the warrant from 8 meeting houses to 3 meeting houses. Right now, the constable must post the warrant to 8 public places, as determined by the Select Board. The town currently posts on the official Littleton Town Bulletin Board, the post office at the Common, the post office at the Depot, the Baptist Church, the Catholic Church, the Congregational Church, the Mormon Church, and the Unitarian Church. The new bylaw would reduce to 3 meeting houses, each being in a separate precinct: the official Littleton Town Bulletin Board, the post office at the Common, and the post office at the Depot. No other changes will be made to the posting, including the times that are needed to be posted 7 days prior to the annual town meetings and 14 days prior to special town meetings.
Thanks, Diane. We're now going to look at Article 10, proposed increase for income limits for the senior tax deferral program. I think this just involves accepting a section of the general laws. Is that correct, Jim?
It is, Tim. It is. It's allowing, and this was really spearheaded by the Select Board with the assistance from the Council on Aging to increase that limit, which we currently have at 55,000, to the current state level at 72,000. So it will increase it to be able to hopefully allow more people to become eligible as a result of the increase in the income limits.
Okay, the next 2 articles, Articles 11 and 12, are bylaw amendments regarding changes in job titles, and they're pretty perfunctory. They're not substantive in that way. But let's take them one at a time. Article 11, Jim?
Yeah.
This is regarding the Director of Veteran Services. What's happening here?
Exactly. It was typically what it was kind of like something that recently with you, Tim. I mean, it was a 1-year appointment annually for the Veteran Service Director. Now it's going to a 3-year appointment, and that is a reappointment by the Select Board. It's not elected such as the Town Moderator, but it's a necessary thing, and it's a good thing.
Okay, and then with Article 12, we're talking about the Director of Finance and Budget position.
Right, exactly. It's really a housekeeping thing. It's just being changed to Finance Director, and that is common in the practice around local government today.
Okay, thank you. Article 13 is actually a resolution on climate action and resilience for the town of Littleton. And I'll point out here, and also I will point out the town meeting, that a resolution is more of a sense of the town meeting vote. It's a non-binding vote. Whether it passes or doesn't pass, there's no effect legally. It simply indicates where town meeting stands vis-a-vis any particular issues. Jim, can you set this one up as to how it's been proposed and
Sure.
what the intention is?
There has been a lot of work by the Sustainability Committee that to identify areas to reduce the emissions, and we are part of a region that has the services of a grant administrator that's going around to all the limited number of communities. That is really looking at ways to help a community reduce those emissions. And the Sustainability Committee here felt that drafting a climate action plan will give us the roadmap where we can reduce those emissions. But to really help explain it a lot better, I'd like to turn it over to Vice Chair of the Sustainability Committee, Charlotte Dolans.
Thanks, Jim. Littleton's Sustainability Committee is proposing Article 13, a climate declaration. And we're asking the town of Littleton with this climate declaration to formally state that climate change is a threat to our community. It's a non-binding resolution, so a yes vote on this article is essentially signifying our commitment as a town to Littleton's sustainable and resilient future. So what is a climate declaration? A climate declaration is a non-binding statement by the town that recognizes climate change as an urgent threat. It commits Littleton to creating a climate action plan, which is already in progress here in Littleton. It also signals the need for community-wide collaboration on sustainability and resilience. And why are we thinking about this right now for Littleton? Well, climate already impacts towns in Massachusetts, including Littleton, with floods, extreme weather, drought. And over 2,400 governments, including Lexington, Acton, and Concord, have already made similar declarations. So the sooner that we plan, the more effective and affordable our solutions will be. So the climate declaration for Littleton, as it will appear in Article 13, first of all states that in a world facing these extreme challenges, including rapid climate change, that Littleton residents understand the importance of protecting the earth and its inhabitants, and we can envision a better and more sustainable future for ourselves and our community. It also recognizes that Littleton, like other communities, is experiencing and is vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. It then resolves that members of Littleton declare that a climate emergency presents this serious threat to our town and that we need a dedicated effort to meet this challenge, to stabilize the climate, and to improve our community. It further resolves that the residents and members of Littleton Town Meeting call on our community. We call on our residents, our businesses, our state and federal governments to commit to a community-wide climate mobilization. And finally, it resolves that this climate action effort shall ensure that the costs and benefits are distributed fairly, and it will include the protection of our natural resources, such as trees and open spaces. So what will this climate declaration do? It will set the tone for urgent, coordinated action. It will guide the development of a climate action plan, and it will strengthen Littleton's opportunities to apply for grants and other regional partnerships. And what won't it do? This declaration does not impose mandates on residents or businesses. It does not commit funding without public input, and it does not require us to make immediate changes to town bylaws, zoning, or budgets. Those decisions would follow community input and planning. So Article 13, the Climate Declaration, is essentially a vision for Littleton where our community can state and declare that this is something that we care about and we want to move forward with a sustainable and resilient Littleton. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlotte. Article 14 is a citizen's petition. It's a proposed bylaw regarding a debt exclusion, override, a financial management and reserve fund. And I had heard that this might not be going forward. I don't know what the current situation is, Jim. Do you know?
Yeah, no, Tim, I got that same information, that this resident is going to withdraw it on the floor at town meeting.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And I think the Finance Committee has weighed in and say it's really not achievable. I think maybe it's a bylaw from another community that is not quite appropriate to Littleton, but we'll hear the reasons why at town meeting.
Right.
So that's the sum of the warrant. We expect that the lion's share of the debate and so forth will be on Article 1, the Shaker Lane debt exclusion. The rest of the warrant, there are some that are appropriate to consent agenda. There are some that are not, that simply require more explanation. Certainly, I think the bylaw on hawkers and peddlers is a substantial rewrite and that needs to be explained to town meeting. And a few others. There are some that are more routine than others. But I think that's how we see it at this point. Jim, anything you'd want to add to this?
No, I think we've covered it all, Tim.
Okay, and again, if you can get there early, you'll have a good chance of being in the gymnasium. The first 800 or so voters get prime seating, and then there'll be an overflow in the cafeteria, or if you have small children and you'd rather keep an eye on them down there, there's an opportunity for that. Again, what should people do, Jim, that want to take advantage of the childcare?
Well, if they want to go on to the website of the Littleton Public Schools, they can register, that almost reserve and identify that someone is going to be there and the reason why that is done is for staffing. Make sure we have the appropriate number of staff available. We don't want to we want to make sure we have enough staff.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Understandable. Well, I think that's our town meeting preview. Again, if you have any questions, you can take a look at the town meeting report. There's information on the website. You can call certainly the select board's office if you will. I'm available for questions that anyone might have regarding the procedure at town meeting. I think with that, I will sign off. I'm Tim Goddard, your moderator. This is Jim Duggan, your town administrator, and we thank you for taking the time to watch town meeting preview. Thank you.
Thank you.